Have you ever had a moment where one cruel sentence made you question your entire worth? On Christmas Eve, a deaf woman sat alone at a beautifully decorated restaurant, waiting for the man who had promised she deserved a second chance at love. Instead, he stood up, looked her in the eyes, and rejected her in front of everyone, simply because communicating with her was too difficult. Humiliated, she thought the night couldn't get any worse. But then, two little girls she had never met walked toward her, smiling with tears in their eyes. They raised their tiny hands and signed 5 unforgettable words. "Can we join you?" What happened after that single question would change not only her Christmas, but the lives of everyone inside that restaurant forever. Stay with this story until the very end, because the greatest Christmas miracle wasn't wrapped under a tree. It began with the kindness of 2 children who refused to let a stranger eat alone. Snow drifted gently through the city streets, covering rooftops with a blanket of white that sparkled beneath thousands of Christmas lights. Everywhere people hurried with brightly wrapped presents, laughing families, warm scarves, and cups of steaming cocoa in their hands. Carolers sang outside churches while children pressed their faces against toy store windows, dreaming of Christmas morning. To almost everyone, the world seemed full of joy. But not for Amelia Carter. Silence had always been her world. She had lost her hearing completely at the age of 4 after a severe illness. Doctors tried everything, but nothing restored it. While other children learned songs, Amelia learned sign language. While classmates whispered secrets across classrooms, she learned to read lips better than most people read books. Life had never been easy. People often smiled politely before slowly disappearing from her life. Some assumed she wasn't intelligent. Others believed conversations with her required too much effort. Dating had always been the hardest. Many men admired her beauty. Few stayed long enough to know her heart. At 32, Amelia had almost accepted that loneliness might simply be her future. Until she met Ryan. They had connected through an online community where accessibility and inclusion mattered. Ryan had seemed patient. He asked questions. He learned basic signs. He told her she inspired him. For 6 months, hope slowly replaced fear. When he invited her to Christmas Eve dinner at the city's most elegant restaurant, Amelia spent nearly 2 weeks preparing. She bought a deep emerald green dress because Ryan once signed that green reminded him of hope. She carefully curled her chestnut hair. She wrapped a handmade leather journal for him, filling its first pages with handwritten memories from every date they had shared. It wasn't expensive. It was priceless. She arrived 20 minutes early. The restaurant glowed with golden lights, towering Christmas trees, crystal chandeliers, and soft candlelight reflecting from polished windows. Families laughed. Couples held hands. Children giggled. Amelia sat quietly by the window. Every few minutes she checked the entrance. Finally, Ryan arrived. He smiled awkwardly. His body language immediately felt different. Something was wrong. She stood to hug him. Instead, he remained stiff. They sat. The waiter brought menus. Ryan barely looked at her. Amelia signed carefully. "Is everything okay?" He looked away. Then typed something into his phone before sliding it across the table. "I don't think this relationship is working." Her heartbeat froze. She looked up. Confused. She signed. "Did I do something wrong?" He sighed heavily. Again he typed. "No." Another message. "You're wonderful." Another. "But everything is difficult." She stared. He continued typing faster. "I thought I could handle dating someone deaf. I can't. It's exhausting. I have to repeat myself. I have to explain things. I can't imagine spending my whole life doing this." Every word landed like shattered glass. Around them people continued laughing. Nobody heard Amelia's heart breaking. She slowly signed. I never asked you to fix me. Ryan rubbed his forehead. It's not about fixing you. It's just. I want a normal life. Normal. That single word destroyed months of healing. She lowered her eyes. He stood. I'm sorry. Then he walked away. Leaving her alone. Leaving the untouched Christmas gift on the table. Leaving every dream behind. The restaurant had seen breakups before. But something about this one made conversations slowly stop. Several people had witnessed enough to understand. An elderly couple looked heartbroken. The waitress quietly wiped away tears. Amelia remained perfectly still. She refused to cry. Not here. Not where strangers could watch. She carefully picked up Ryan's gift. Placed it inside her purse. Reached for the bill. The waiter gently shook his head. Already paid. Not by Ryan. By someone anonymous. She thanked him with a small smile. Still refusing to cry. She stood. Adjusted her coat. Prepared to disappear into the snowy night. Then. She noticed movement. Across the restaurant. Two little girls, perhaps 8 and 10 years old, were watching her with enormous eyes. Instead of turning away. They whispered excitedly to one another. Then. To Amelia's complete surprise. Both girls began signing. Not perfectly. Not fluently. But clearly enough. Their tiny hands formed words she understood instantly. Can. We. Join. You. Amelia blinked. Her heart stopped for an entirely different reason. Who were these children? How did they know sign language? And why were they walking toward a complete stranger on the saddest night of her life? She had absolutely no idea. That this small invitation was about to become the beginning of the greatest Christmas miracle she had ever imagined. The restaurant seemed to fade into the background as the two little girls stood beside Amelia's table. Their cheeks were rosy from the cold, and their eyes carried the kind of sincere concern that only children often express without hesitation. The older girl signed slowly, concentrating on every movement. We saw you alone. The younger one smiled shyly before adding with clumsy but heartfelt signs. No one should be alone. Christmas. For the first time that evening, Amelia's eyes filled with tears, not from humiliation, but from unexpected kindness. She nodded. Yes. The girl's mother hurried over, looking embarrassed. She apologized, explaining that her daughters, Emma and Lily, had been learning sign language for 3 years because their cousin was deaf. When they saw Amelia sitting alone after what appeared to be a painful conversation, they insisted they wanted to invite her to their family's table. I'm so sorry if they're interrupting, the mother said gently. Amelia smiled and signed while speaking softly enough for the family to understand. They're not interrupting. They're saving my Christmas. The father pulled out a chair. Then please, let us save the rest of it. Within minutes, Amelia found herself surrounded by warmth instead of silence. The grandparents asked her about her work. The girls eagerly practiced new signs. The mother laughed whenever they made mistakes. The father learned new gestures before dessert arrived. Nobody pitied Amelia. Nobody treated her differently. They simply included her. Hours passed like minutes. The family learned she was an elementary school art teacher who encouraged hearing and deaf children to learn together through creativity. She discovered they volunteered every Christmas serving meals to families in need. When the girls asked why she looked sad earlier, Amelia hesitated. Then she told the truth. She explained that someone had decided she was too difficult to love because she was deaf. The younger girl's face tightened with disbelief. She signed carefully. Wrong. The older sister added. Very wrong. Their grandmother leaned forward. My husband lost most of his hearing 15 years ago. She reached across the table and squeezed her husband's hand. I didn't lose the man I loved. The elderly man smiled. Love isn't measured by how easily people hear each other. It's measured by how deeply they choose to understand. Those words settled into Amelia's heart like the first rays of sunlight after a long winter. Before leaving, the girls handed Amelia a small Christmas ornament shaped like two hands forming the sign for love. We made this, Emma signed. So you remember us. Amelia hugged them tightly. Months passed. The Christmas dinner became more than a memory. It became the beginning of lifelong friendships. Amelia started volunteering with the family's community center, teaching free sign language classes every Saturday. Attendance grew from 12 people to more than 200 within a year. Police officers attended. Teachers attended. Doctors attended. Restaurant workers attended. Parents brought children. Teenagers invited friends. The city slowly became a little more accessible because one lonely Christmas dinner had inspired compassion instead of despair. One December afternoon, almost exactly 1 year later, Amelia organized a holiday celebration for deaf and hearing families together. Hundreds gathered. Music played for those who could hear. Lights danced for those who could not. Everyone signed Christmas greetings together. Standing near the entrance was a familiar face. Ryan. He watched in silence. He saw hundreds of people communicating effortlessly through sign language. He saw joy instead of inconvenience. He saw the extraordinary woman he had failed to value. Approaching carefully, he apologized. I was afraid, he admitted. I confused effort with burden. I was wrong. Amelia listened calmly. Then she smiled with genuine peace. I forgive you. But my life began the night you walked away. She wasn't speaking from anger. She was speaking from gratitude. Because if he had stayed, she might never have met Emma and Lily. She might never have found a family she didn't know she needed. She might never have changed an entire community. As Ryan quietly left, the two little girls, now a year older, ran toward Amelia and wrapped their arms around her. Emma signed with perfect confidence now. Best Christmas ever. Amelia laughed through happy tears. The best. Snow began falling once more. Children signed Christmas songs. Parents signed to babies. Neighbors greeted one another with hands instead of only words. And Amelia realized something profound. Silence had never been the emptiest place. The emptiest place was a heart unwilling to understand another person. Kindness, however, needed no sound at all. Sometimes the smallest hands carry the greatest miracles. Sometimes strangers become family. And sometimes the Christmas you thought was completely ruined becomes the very day that changes your life forever. The greatest gift is not being perfectly understood from the beginning, it is finding people willing to learn your language, your struggles, and your heart. When compassion speaks, everyone can hear it, even in complete silence.